Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rulla Alani, and as someone who is frequently making dating videos, I thought it would be only fair for me to share my top dating etiquette tips. Now, I'm always encouraging you ladies to invest in yourself, to elevate yourself, to join elite dating apps, and all of that comes with a certain expectation that we are also representing ourselves in the best light possible. So today I'm going to be sharing 10 of my top dating etiquette tips. So for number one, we have always arrive early, especially when it's a first date. You should be at the restaurant early. Now this is actually true for all dates, not just the first date, but especially a first date, because you're giving off a first impression. And if you're late, you are gonna come off as someone who is not very responsible, who doesn't really care, who doesn't have respect for others' times. So I encourage you guys to plan ahead. Some of the things that I do that help me arrive early is, first off, I plan my outfit ahead of time. At least 3 hours before, I have an outfit option, if not 2 or 3, and then I can get right into getting ready. I know how it goes with us women. We always have so many things to do when it comes to shaving and plucking and waxing and makeup and our nails. So just plan ahead. If it makes sense to do some things the day before, like go to the salon, get our nails done, I don't know, take a long shower and do all the shaving and waxing, get it done the day before. That way the day of, you're not just stressing out, freaking out, and it's just better to plan ahead. Okay, now something else that I recommend for all my ladies out there, especially the indecisive ones, is to take a look at the menu of the restaurant you guys are going to and have an idea for what you're going to order ahead of time. I know this sounds a little bit OCD and a little bit anal, but the fact of the matter is, when we meet someone and we are deep diving into conversation with them and getting to know one another, we are not really in the right headspace to make decisions. So the less decisions you have to make during a date, the better. That's why I always go on Yelp, check out the menu ahead of time, kind of have an idea for what entree and drink I'm gonna order. That way when I come to the date, my eyes aren't laser focused on the menu and I can be super present with my date. Number 2, do not order items that your date is not ordering. Let me explain. If your date is not drinking and it does not order a drink, well then you should not order a drink either. If your date is not ordering a dessert, you shouldn't either. If your date is ordering a burger, then you probably should not order a filet mignon steak. So always reflect and parallel your date's behavior when it comes to their eating behavior, how fast or slow they're drinking, how much they're eating. Always try to reflect that behavior, because then it feels like you guys are in alignment, you guys feel more comfortable, and it's just easier that way. Now, if your date asks you, hey, would you like an appetizer? Would you like a dessert? Now, in that case, don't be shy. You know, I think it's completely valid to give a recommendation like, oh yeah, the calamari looks nice, or something along those lines. Don't be so shy that you're not even ordering what you usually would, but also don't come to a date and order everything while your date is not doing that, right? Always just kind of parallel their behavior, and that way there's less awkward moments. Another rule of thumb is to always order something that you can take small bites of. So stay away from the pasta, stay away from the pizza, the burgers, tacos, anything like that. Try to order something that you can take small bite-sized pieces of, something that's not too messy, not too smelly, and I think that's a good rule of thumb. Another rule of thumb is don't drink too much, right? Like, let's say your date orders a drink and you order one and they order a second one, you order a second one. Don't drink too much. I would limit it to 2 drinks, maybe 3 drinks tops, but even 3 drinks is pushing it. Don't drink too much, and definitely don't drink too fast. Third point, put your phone away. Yes, I mean completely away. Don't have your phone out on the table, whether you guys are sitting at a booth or a bar. Do not have it sitting there on the table. First off, that's not really good etiquette when it just comes to dining in general. Second off, you should really just give your date your undivided attention, right? I mean, I know we're all busy. Some of us are business owners. Some of us have a lot of responsibilities, but it is okay to just fork out 1 or 2 hours for this date. Give them your undivided attention, be respectful. I really encourage you to not answer any text messages, any phone calls, any emails unless it is like a dire emergency. But I would just say stay away from it. Nobody likes to be on a date with someone who cannot put their phone down. Number 4 is no sexual talk, and I mean none. No sexual jokes, no sexual remarks, just stay away from it. 5 is no profanity. Now, I am someone who cusses every now and then with my friends, in a very casual setting. And I really had to drill it in my head that when I'm going out on a date, I really need to keep the curse words at home. Please do not cuss, do not use harsh, vulgar language, don't use masculine language. Try to just stay feminine and ladylike. I know even myself, I have a voice that projects, and when I go on a date, I really make it, I try to be mindful of the tone of my voice, of how I'm appearing, right? Am I coming off as a lady, as a elevated, high status, high quality woman, or am I lowering my value by saying curse words and using profanity and having a very harsh or vulgar tone? So just be really mindful of those things. 5, refrain from the negativity. Nobody wants to go on a date with a negative Nancy. So even if you are sharing a story that maybe sounds a little bit negative, let's say you just got laid off, always put it in the best possible light, in the best possible scenario. For example, you could say, I recently got laid off, and although it was an unexpected turn of events, I'm now looking for opportunities, and I honestly feel like it was a blessing in disguise. If I was sitting on a date with someone and they said that, I would be like, wow, they are so mature, they're so wise, they're looking at the positive, right? They're looking at the cup being half full rather than half empty. So just try to stay in a positive light, especially during your date. Number 7, no mention of previous relationships or exes. I know that many times the conversation could somehow go to, when was your last relationship, or why did it end? And I always try to just encourage people to not talk about past relationships at all. I think it's a slippery slope. I think you need to be very careful when you're talking about it. And I just say stay away from it altogether. The last thing you want to do is put your ex in a negative light. I know we've all been there. We've had a really horrible ex or a really horrible relationship experience, but this is not the time to chat or vent about it. When we talk about our ex in a super negative light, let's say we call them a liar or a cheater or this, that reflects on us. It does not reflect on our ex, right? The person that we're going out with does not know our ex, but they know who we are. And if we are someone who chooses liars and cheaters, then that kind of says a lot about us, right? So be mindful of what you share, especially when it comes to past relationships. Try not to bring it up at all, because it's just like walking on eggshells, and you don't want to say something that could lower your image, right? Because if you've dated someone who is X, Y, and Z, all these bad things, well, that kind of means that we're on that same level. So let's just keep that talk for another time, not during a date. Number 8 is ask interesting questions. Now, you don't want the conversation to go stagnant, but you also don't want to make it so serious and so formal. You don't want it to feel like an interview, right? So I always think the best thing you can do is share a little, gather a little. What I mean by that is share a story and then ask your date about it. So for example, you could say, I recently traveled to Mexico. It was beautiful. Have you been there? Or something like that. You can share something about your life, whether it be an event, a travel experience, an accomplishment, but then always relate the conversation back to them. You never want to be that person that's like hoarding the conversation and always talking about me, right? You want it to be this natural flow of I speak a little, you speak a little, and we're both getting to know each other. What I find is that a lot of times the more social person kind of becomes more dominant, and then they're sharing so much about their life, and then the other person doesn't really have the time or the space to speak. So always, leave some room for silence so that your date can speak, but also engage them in conversations so that we can avoid any awkward silent moments. Number 9, dress in your best business casual attire. I am someone who always votes to wear something classy, sophisticated, elegant, and to stay away from anything that's too tight, too flashy, too showy. You always kind of want to appear as someone who is sophisticated, someone who is conservative. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be fashionable or stylish. You can definitely add color and accessories and, nice shoes and bags and things like that. But just don't be too casual, and also don't be so overdone. Go light on the makeup. Men tend to actually prefer natural beauty over too much makeup. Make sure you spritz some perfume, wear something nice, smell nice. I also encourage you guys to wear your hair down. I've noticed that a lot of men prefer women when their hair is down versus when they're rocking like a bun or a ponytail or a braid. So I encourage you to just put together an outfit that is going to represent your best self. Don't try to be an attention seeker by wearing super flashy or super showy things. I actually have a whole nother video where I talk about things, or actually outfits, to stay away from on a first date. I will link it up here, and I also share my personal favorite look for a first date, so you don't want to miss that video. Check it out. Last but not least, number 10 is do not move too fast. Do not do anything that you would regret. I say stay away from any physical sort of interaction with your date. Now, I know there have been times where maybe a first kiss could be appropriate, but even that, I think after a first date, we really are not at our peak logic, right? We're kind of in this dreamy land, especially when we're having a good time, right? We kind of tend to disregard some of our boundaries, but this is actually when you need to uphold your boundaries. You really, really want to approach the situation in a professional way. Give yourself time to reflect and evaluate on the date. Once again, it's okay if you give your date a hug. I think that handshakes are a little bit too formal, too professional. I think a hug is just fine. If your date kisses you on the cheek or on the hand, I think that is just adorable and so romantic. But I think even a French kiss could be moving a little bit too fast, at least in my opinion. I am very traditional, and I found that quote that says the hottest love has the coldest end is so true. Anytime you move way too fast with someone, you're kind of dooming yourself for the long run, right? So always remember that moving slow is actually always better. When we move slow, we're able to stay logical, we're able to reflect on our date, and we're able to make the best decisions long term. Obviously, this all comes down to personal preference. If you are okay with kissing on a first date, then so be it. But just keep in mind, if you're trying to attract a gentleman, if you're trying to attract a lifelong partner, a future husband, the future father of your kids, then just think about how that will pan out in the long run. Lastly, I just like to remind everyone to let their inner beauty shine. Be you, right? I know there's all these rules for don't order too much, don't have too much makeup, don't do this and that, but at the end of the day, be you. Don't dilute yourself. Don't come off as someone you're not. Really try to represent who you are, because at the end of the day, that's why you're going on a date, right? Is to find out who that person is and to get to know the true, authentic them. So just be yourself. Try to just reflect what you want to attract. So let's say you want to attract a gentleman who has his life together, who has a bunch of goals and dreams. Well, you should also come off as a lady with ambition, a lady with a lot of accomplishments, right? So always kind of come back to what you're looking for, and remember that you are a walking example of what you're looking for and what you want to attract. So always stay on your best behavior. I hope that this video was helpful. I'd love if you guys commented some of your tips below for your dating etiquette kind of rule of thumbs, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.